Welcome to It Takes Two. I'm Blair.
I'm Chris.
And today we are taking a deeper dive into our thoughts about Ashley Braxton.
Listen here, I need you to subscribe, like, share, comment, all the above. Now, if you have been following us, we have started the new season of the Braxtons, right? And the Braxtons started off with a story that was pretty big. How long ago, Blair?
I think it was like 3 years ago.
Like years ago.
Yeah.
But if you are new to the show and how they was talking in the show, they was talking kind of vague, kind of not direct. You could kind of miss the details that happened in real time compared to them kind of skimming over it now in the first episode. So we're going to kind of give you some more backstory on what happened, on what Ashley is alluding to and things of that nature. So we all can be caught up, including myself. Mm-hmm. You ready, Blair? Walk us through this backstory a little bit.
So this is just what I found out from looking online, reading different things and watching Ashley's videos that she posted a while back.
Yeah.
So from my understanding, she went to stay with Trina and Gabe during one summer. During that summer, she was 16 years old. Mm-hmm. She went back home after that, and her stepmom found text messages in her phone of Gabe texting her sexually. So sex text messages. Mm-hmm. So the stepmom ended up telling her dad. Her dad called Trina, and then Trina spoke to Ashley and apologized to her for what Gabe was doing, said that she was just a child and, this is terrible and she shouldn't have to go through this.
Yeah.
What Ashley is saying is, even though her aunt said those things to her, things changed within their relationship.
Okay.
She felt like she was iced out a little bit from her aunt. She wasn't talking to her as much, and she didn't feel like she was supported anymore, more so of Trina along the lines of saying, I don't know if she specifically said it or if this is how Ashley felt, that it was her fault as well because she was playing into it. She was having the conversations with Gabe. And it turned from her being a innocent child to her being somebody who was 16 years old and you definitely knew better.
A little fast, girl.
Yeah. And that's pretty much as much information as I have. I'm actually interested to see if we're going to see the podcast and for the podcast thing that Tamar's doing, if they're going to get more specific, because y'all, I hate when people are vague. I'm like, say it or don't say it. And even in some of Ashley's videos when she was talking about it, of course she didn't say specifically which aunt it was, but I don't think being vague helps the situation because it casts the net so wide to put so many people under fire. So
all this stuff, allegedly or not allegedly, is sad.
Yeah.
Right. Gabe is not alive now, so it's not like we can go to him and question him on what happened.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Or that anybody can, right? But I understand why people don't like when people are vague, because like you said, it throws the innocent people potentially in the line of fire. But I will also say, did it help at all for her to bring it to the internet?
I don't think so, but some people for what Ashley said, this was part of her healing process and she wanted to be able to help other people heal from what she went through.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to have a lot of hot takes during this episode, and I'm no way, blaming a minor for anything, but I'm interested at how Ashley has decided to handle this since she has become a full-grown adult woman.
Adult now, yeah.
Yeah, and how she's handling this situation that happened when she was a teenager, and how she's choosing to go about it present day or 3 years ago, because that's another thing. I'm just like, it's interesting they didn't choose this story for the first season, but they chose it for the second season, even though it happened so long ago.
We figured I'd get Traci out the way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we had to get the nephew up in here and basically build a story around him. Now we got the niece around here. We're going to build a story around her.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. I think 3 years ago, however old she was, this happened with her when she was 16. I think there is something to like people who are younger than me, and I'm not 35, but I think there are something to when people bring stuff to the internet. Is weird to me because I was around when the internet first got started, when you got those CDs and you got dial up and things like that. So I don't treat the internet as a journal.
Yeah, me neither.
So like I don't relate to the public in that way. So I want to be very hesitant in criticizing how she chose to go on her healing journey, for starters.
Yeah.
By bringing it to TikTok, by bringing a internal family issue to the public. Because if you're not from the internet era, as we're not over here, it all looks weird. You get what I'm saying? We got journals. Back in the day, I think y'all girls had journals that had a little locket on it and things of that nature. So a lot of people,
there were therapists back then too.
But even therapists back in the day was it was taboo.
Okay.
It wasn't as accepting as it was. It's not, therapy back in the day wasn't accepting as it is today.
Okay.
So at least during my time, during the 90s and things like that. So when I see people come online and they use the internet to basically get some type of healing for whatever they've gone through, I try to be slow to judgment, because I'd be like, this is not normal to me to bring internal problems on the internet. But number two, before I even talk about Ashley, let's talk about Gabe and Trina and their part in this, especially Trina's part in the first episode of the Braxton season 2, right? To hear what Ashley was alluding to in the first episode, and then they go to basically the scene with Towanda and Trina, it kind of felt like Trina was kind of turning the situation and making it about her in some type of way. Not fully, but enough to notice, enough to be like, okay, Trina, now let's just relax. I understand that of course, that was your husband, your late husband at that. So there's a lot of emotions when that come along. Back in the day, if y'all was watching the Braxtons back in the day, it was known that Gabe had some type of sexual problem. He was an addict in like some type of way back in the day that Trina was sharing with us and things of that nature. And even back in that seasons and things like that, it was kind of alluded to something was happening with Gabe, right? So I think Trina, I don't see why Trina is kind of taking the route of, I don't want to say woe is me, but she's teetering that line of basically like, you know what, when people do things, they don't know the effects that it will have on other people. I'm like, wait a minute now. You're not the victim in this at all. And especially you are the adult in this. I don't think she should take that route of basically like, woe is me, people coming at me on the internet and things like that. Am I wrong for thinking that way?
Okay. Like I said, I think I might have some hot takes.
Okay.
I'm going to look at all people involved.
All people.
Gabe, Trina, Ashley. Trina was a victim in her marriage to her husband's issues.
100%. I agree with that.
So I think that there is a space for Trina to be a victim within the things that she went through with her husband and trying to get him help throughout their marriage.
That's nuance. And guess what? I like it. I like it.
When it comes to Trina and Ashley, Trina is not the victim in that parentheses.
Okay.
Ashley, I feel like was the child in the moment. Whatever conversations were being had, Gabe is the adult, and he should not have been having those texts or sending those conversations to Ashley.
Yeah.
So when it came to Trina and Ashley and the way that Trina initially broached the conversation with her saying that you're a child, I'm sorry this is happening to you, I think that was perfect, you know? And I think that where the lines get blurry to me is what is actually, how do I say it? And I don't want to say I don't believe Ashley, because the family definitely has a lot of inner turmoil and issues.
100%.
But I do wonder, sometimes people can perceive things that aren't what the other person intends. Trina decided to stay with Gabe, which I don't agree with. But it makes me wonder if Trina detached from Ashley a bit because she was still in her marriage and trying to get her husband help. And she felt like she needed to put all of her energy and her focus into her husband, which kind of left her niece out to dry.
That's a good question.
And I would say that in that situation, the people or the adults who are there for the child are the parents. You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
The people that she actually lives with.
Yeah.
Even though you came to visit us and this situation happened and we had a conversation.
Your actual parents.
like, your parents are the ones to help get you through the situation. If you don't live with me, I'm not there. I can't see what the impact it's having on
I'm following.
So I don't necessarily think it was Trina's responsibility to necessarily have weekly check-ins or meetings with Ashley to see how she was processing what Gabe had done.
That's fair.
And I think that I don't expect that Ashley expected that from Trina, but I think that if you're already in a space of feeling violated, when you don't have the support of the person who was checking in on you at first, it can kind of feel like you were abandoned. So I think a lot of stuff is perspective, and it's hard for me to gauge the truth within it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. So let me add more depth to what you said, because like you hit so many nails. The house almost built.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I gave you the perspective of someone who grew up in the internet era.
Right.
Let me give you a perspective of someone who grew up before then. Right. Someone's in Trina's predicament. Gabe was the breadwinner. Gabe was the one that was basically taking care of the house. So from a 16-year-old perspective compared to a wife perspective, she's not going to see what you just laid out just now. And the whole like, oh, you go choose your husband over me? That, like, from a 16-year-old, they only know what they know.
But even for me, a 30-something-year-old, I still don't agree with her choosing her husband.
I don't either.
Over her niece, because of what he put her niece through.
Listen, I think what she put the niece through and all that stuff was one of many cherries on top.
Oh, absolutely.
When it came to Gabe.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying that this is the only reason why she should have left Gabe. She should have left Gabe before all this should have even happened.
Facts.
Right?
Facts.
Based on what we saw years and years and years of the Braxtons, right? But there is something to an era of women who just choose their husband over anything, right?
Yeah.
Especially if, you get what I'm saying? I'm not background singing for Toni that much. You get what I'm saying? He's the breadwinner, so in a way,
I got these 2 kids.
But even how do he get to do the wrong? And then I gotta stand up on moral. I gotta have a moral compass about it. But at the same time, by me doing that, I jeopardize my livelihood. Like it's so many webs that is so complicated. For a 16-year-old to understand, right? But I think the one thing that we both can agree on, and that we all can agree on, is that if everything happened the way that it did, there was no way, in my opinion, that Trina should have stayed with Gabe.
Correct.
In any way.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's a difference between you being a sex addict and then with you potentially hitting on your niece, like those
your underage niece,
like this is,
because that's where we call you a P word.
This is where we get into some criminal felony type of stuff.
Yeah.
And this is where that's where you gotta draw a hard line. But my thing about it is, and I'm going to use the Braxtons as a family, when you're used to being surrounded by so much chaos, right, and things like that, it's not like she coming from a great family in the sense of, oh yeah, we deal with this type of stuff very good and things like that. But I will give the mother some respect. There was a scene that like you sent me to where Evelyn told Trina, hey, listen here, you need to save yourself. Yeah,
she was telling her it comes to a point to where you've given your all and you've done enough. And she was trying to talk some sense into Trina.
Yeah. So I do think Ashley, when it comes to her story, especially that she was underaged and you only know what you know, right? Even though 16 is right there to 17 and 17 is right there to 18, you'd be surprised just the difference between 21 and 16, how much you realize how much you didn't know.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So I do find it hard.
And the thing is, I don't expect her to know that.
Of course not.
I would expect her to be focused on the unfortunate situation her uncle put her in,
of course,
and to focus on her healing and her well-being. So she don't even have to think about grown folks' issues in that way.
Or just the simplicity of, you still with your husband?
Right.
Like some, like that right there. The simplicity of, you still with your husband after like my mom or stepmom told you what happened and things and confronted you. You still with your husband? Yeah. We're not even talking about livelihood. We're not even talking about reputation. We're not even talking about any of that. We're just talking on some, your husband, my uncle, was trying to basically alluding to try to sleep with me.
Yeah.
You still with him?
Yeah.
that's wrong. Like most 16-year-olds, I would think would just have a hard line right there. Now, this is where it gets tricky for me, right? This story did not happen, even though this show was premiered last Friday. This story did not happen over the summer. This story did not happen over the winter. This story did not happen over last summer. It did not happen over last winter. This is where Tamar comes into the picture for me, right? And you said that it's on the parents of the child to assist in the healing for that child, especially if they are living with the parents for a time.
And they can see what it's doing to the child. Right.
Now, Tamar has stepped in as an aunt when the niece is an adult.
Yeah.
And not even living in the country.
Right.
Right. And she's aiding in the healing of her niece, but on camera. This is where it gets tricky for me, because we already know that Tamar, do not have a good relationship with her sisters. She feels like she's the black sheep. She feels like she's always picked on, and she never takes accountability for any of the actions that she do. But especially if you watch last season, Tamar definitely viewed her sisters as, you know what, I don't want to film with them. I don't even want to take the photo shoot with them. I don't want to be around them.
Yeah.
And now she is taking a position of, I'm going to be that aunt that basically, I don't want to say help you go against my sisters, but in a way, I'm going to assist you, niece Ashley, in holding my sister, your aunt, accountable. And that's where with Tamar role is, it can be the right thing to do, but for me, it's like wrong messenger. It kind of feels nasty.
The reason why I can flat out say Tamar is wrong is because when they asked in the confessional, did Ashley coming out publicly help her to heal? And Tamar said no, she actually regressed. If you're actually a caring family member, aunt, whoever the case may be, and you have, and look, I feel like as you get older and you get wiser, you start to gain foresight. You know, some people just get older, but as you get older and wiser, you can kind of use some foresight to see how things might play out, or how it could be beneficial or harmful to you. And to me, I'm like, if you're an aunt concerned about her well-being, then I don't necessarily believe, if you know that she has regressed by what's been going on, then how are you putting her in a position to continue to be on platforms that aren't helping her? And that's where I say that Tamar is self-serving, because it does me good to have you to share the story on my platform. It does me good to have you at odds with my sisters because they weren't there for me in ways that I needed them to be there for me. So that's why, even though Tamar is sitting up having conversations with her niece and saying I'm being here for her, I don't think she's doing it with even recommendations of things that are actually going to help Ashley. I think these are things that make Tamar feel good in her stance. You know?
I think it helps her basically stand out as, I'm the good sister, and things like that. Because especially we kind of know, out of all the sisters, I probably say she have probably the most back and forth with is Towanda. You know what I'm saying? Towanda last season was viewed as, you know what, Kevin's basically middleman. Basically, whenever Kevin needed to talk to someone and things of that nature, he was reaching out to Towanda. Yeah. And now we kind of seen a version of that, to where Ashley's going through something and now she's reaching to Tamar. You get what I'm saying? Or Tamar's reaching out to her, whatever it is. And then they get to this scene that starts off in the first episode, to where there was a cease and desist sent, and Tamar is alleging that Toni did it. Yeah. Right? Now, I can believe that. I can believe that 100%. Right? Toni is the sister that feels like, I put y'all in position to basically y'all been around me forever. I feel like this is how Toni shows up to me on TV. I feel like Toni feels like she's Teflon because she done so much for her sisters that I don't have to show up as a sister anymore. You get what I'm saying? Like, basically, like, for the show, I can give you a little 1-2 here. Basically, I'm on tour or whatever, or I can talk about these ideas, but I'm not gonna hang out with y'all. I'm not coming to Atlanta. No, don't come out to where I'm at. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, and basically, Toni put herself in a position to where they kind of can't say nothing bad about Toni, because Toni did so much for them that it just seems like you're biting the hand that fed you. but except for Tamar though, because Tamar's the one that's also a star in her own right when she acts right. You get what I'm saying? And Tamar's the one that feel confident to the point where Toni basically stood up and shook the table and saying like, you did this. Like, and guess what? The little Chitlin Circuit comment was kind of shade, well, big shade, but it did kind of feel like, hey, when you quote unquote, or when Ashley throw basically that cover over all of us, that also includes me too. So I'm gonna put a cease and desist, because at the end of the day, Trina, Towanda, any scandal that happened with y'all, Tamar, in some way, my name get thrown in it in some way.
But I also think by throwing it out in that way, it does make the public wonder, well, what did the other sisters do? How did everyone else support Ashley when she was going through what she was going through? Yeah. And I do kind of want to speak to the fact that Ashley, her coming out publicly, you know, it may look, because I don't think coming out publicly is actually healing. I would never fully understand why people would want to come out to share their personal stories in public.
Same.
When you're going to come across, sure, maybe a handful of people who can relate, but also this is not a safe space. The internet is not a safe space.
Not even close.
No corner of the internet is a safe space. We try to make this channel a safe space, but there's so many crazies out here. And that's where I just don't think that the internet is a place for healing. And so when we talk about the decision to do that and how it kind of has a blowback effect on Trina, I think that it's fair for Trina to wonder, why didn't she call me if there were still issues? And I'm not talking about, oh, well, she was a child, and what do you mean putting the responsibility? No, as a 32-year-old woman, instead of going on the internet for healing, why didn't she reach out to me to let me know that the way that I handled it was not to her liking? You know, and I think that's fair. At the same time, you do have to take into consideration, are we at odds? Is there an issue to where she couldn't come to you? Yeah. You know, and I think all those things we just don't have answers to because of how vague they were being. But that is the first thing that I would think, is that if you have an issue, before blasting it to the public for healing, why not go to the person who, you know, offended you, who did the offense, and try to seek clarity? Because that's where I feel like we're not trying to get to a place of clarity. We're trying to, I'm going to go by what Ashley said, because I don't know her intention. She says that she's going to heal, but I just don't see how the internet is a healing space, you know? And
then on top of that, like, the internet's not a safe space. And just to be clear,
can I add one thing?
Go ahead.
It's like people forget about, did y'all remember back in the day when the internet was coming on and people were talking about stranger danger, how you don't need to be up in chat rooms telling people where you live, all your business, and all that type of stuff? Like, what happened to stranger danger? Well,
actually, you know? I think Roblox just got in trouble, and they are being sued because there have been some chats going on, some inappropriate chats with adults and some kids in Roblox. So,
and that's what I'm saying. When it comes to Ashley, like, it's like we've come into this space to where the internet is our personal friend. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, that goes a whole.
Yeah, that's a whole nother direction.
That's a whole nother psychological that I can literally talk to you about 3 hours about how we're actually not becoming. We are becoming less and less of a community.
And don't get me on these live streamers. Y'all posting up where you at when you're there. That is not safe.
Okay, anyway, you're losing me there, right? So, but we are becoming less and less a community because of the internet and things like that. But that's not the point.
Yeah, we'll circle back to Ashley.
The whole point is 100% Ashley was a child. She should not get any blame for whatever the adult decided to basically do in that texting exchange and things like that. When it comes to Gabe and Ashley, I put the full accountability on Gabe. When it comes to how Gabe and Trina's marriage was and things like that, especially with the embarrassment of talking to your own niece, I put the full accountability on Gabe. You get what I'm saying? And here's the thing about it. Even though your trauma and things like that, you may not have trauma is done to you, and you may not be the reason of why it happened to you, but unfortunately, we are responsible for our own healing. I understand that Ashley was 16 and maybe 21 and maybe 25, and if she's still going through it, I understand that at that point you really can't blame nobody. You have to be responsible for your own healing. That goes back to your point of, hey, I need to reach out to my aunt. Because this been on my mind for 10 years.
Yeah.
This been on my mind for 15 years or something like that. And that's what, hopefully, we get to see that in like some way. But I don't know if Tamar is the right vehicle for that. Because Tamar don't even talk to her sisters. She don't even talk to her sisters. But yet, you want to be the vehicle for healing when it comes to your niece. It's just like wrong messenger, right? Do you put some accountability on Trina to reach out since she is older and she is the aunt and she has the title of aunt?
And this is where I put it on Trina. Once them videos came out,
phone calls.
And exactly.
I would have been calling everybody.
I'm hopping on a phone. Shoot, I might even hop on a plane to see if I can see my niece to have a discussion about what she's going through, what she's feeling, so we can talk it out.
Yeah.
If it really, she had that situation that came on online and they hadn't talked until possibly filming, because they still haven't talked as of the first episode.
That's wild.
Then I do look at it crazy as Trina. Now that you know, what are you going to do? Because
even though y'all are both adults, you are the aunt.
Yeah.
And that and you hold a title to where it's like you can, you have the power to reach out to.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So I 100% agree with you there. The minute those TikTok videos came out, I don't care if I would have not had her number. I got somebody's number.
Exactly. I got my brother's number. What's her new number?
That could get in touch with her.
Exactly.
And be like, we need to talk. Where are you?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add to this backstory that basically we're going to see unfold throughout this season of the Braxtons?
Nothing more to add, but I'm curious to get more information than what I've been able to find.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Hopefully we get it. Hopefully y'all subscribe, like, share, comment, and hype the video, and we see you next time.
Bye.